Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating a session of Eotenweard. This is my PBTA game of Dark Age heroes protecting the innocent from the supernatural using gifts they have been given by treacherous, fickle, and jealous gods. This game was organized as part of the Gauntlet RPG community's monthly, absolutely, or we should all cheer for the Gauntlet, RPG community's monthly games calendar. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, then please just search Gauntlet-RPG and you will find us. If you're interested in playing with the Gauntlet, then on February 25th to 28th, we have another Gauntlet community open gaming weekend. We can come along and try playing with us just to see if you like the style of games we run. We run about 100 games in all kinds of time zones every month. And so come along to that open weekend and just play with us. If you want to commit more to the Gauntlet, then we have a Patreon which supports not just the kind of back office stuff around the community, but also Gauntlet publishing and the Gauntlet podcasts. And if you want to hear more about those, then visit Gauntlet-RPG and you'll find it all there. Okay, so this is a game, as I say, about, I set it in the early 600s AD, CE. I use AD because it seems more fitting to the time. A time of transition, a time when if you will, the way in which Britannia, the province of Britannia is run is changing. We are setting this about 200 years after the Romans left Britain. And it's still another 200 years until we get to the age of Vikings, and the Last Kingdom and Prime's Vikings would fit in there, though they remain reasonable touchstones. The technology doesn't change much in the next 200 years. So the supernatural is very real to people. Some of them will see it through the Christian lens of the indigenous Celtic peoples, although some of those Celtic peoples will still honor the pagan gods of old. Others will see it through the lens of the gods that the Anglo-Saxons brought to Britain. That's Woden, Thunir, Frigg, Tyr, and the rest, who will one day in Norse mythology become Odin, Thor, and the rest. So this is very much a kind of time in which there are a number of different views of religion going around. In this session, we've already created characters, and we have created the settlement around which this session and series will revolve. And beyond that, we're going to play to find out. The bottom line is that all the characters will be familiar with one another. They will have traveled together. They have been brought together by their gods for the purpose of protecting people, though who knows whether the gods have got some ulterior motive. The tone of this game, it's set in the Dark Age, when supernatural is a fact of life and life itself is very cheap. So the game is intended to be rich in darkness and foreboding. How dark may depend on how the players approach the game, but it is certainly possible that in terms of subject matter, we could end up addressing some adult and horror themes. So I'm going to be using some safety rules. We're going to be using some safety rules. My preferred set are to use the X card. And I've played with all of these players before, so they know that I'm not very good at monitoring the chat. So the best way to play the X card is visibly. If any other player sees that someone has put X card in the chat and I've not reacted, please do draw my attention to it. Don't wait on ceremony. We're also playing with lines and veils, and I've made a start on my starting lines and veils. I would ask that the players check out the lines and veils and just add any others. I'll make sure we summarize them before we start play proper. We're also playing with the open door. The open door means that if something happens during the session that means one of the players has to step away, that's fine. We'd love you to come back, but if not, just drop us a message and hope nothing too serious has gone on in the real world. But the open door is also there. If this turns out not to be the game that one of you thought you'd signed up to, then please, the open door is there for you to say, thanks, not quite for me, I'm off. That's fine. or me. Go, maybe turns out I don't like it either. No problem, simply use the open door. We're also playing with the Gauntlet Code of Conduct, which I sometimes tongue-in-cheek describe as don't be a dick. But it's about playing respectfully at the table. And again, I've played with all of these players, so I know that they get the way that we run on the Gauntlet. So that's the pitch. I'll finish by saying that my pronouns are he, him, and then I will, in character keeper order, because I'm not very imaginative, ask each of the players to say hello, introduce yourselves, and tell us a little something about what little we know about the character so far. So Sawyer, say hello and tell us about Yadric, the commoner.
Hello, I am Sawyer. I also go by Ferret online. I use any pronouns said with respect. You can't misgender me unless you're being a dick, so don't be a dick. And I'm going to be playing Yadric the Commoner. He uses he, him pronouns, and he comes with a chicken and a donkey. So that is like the best starting gear one can have. And he is a pagan Saxon. He is trying his best to just get by after figuring out that maybe the gods do sometimes choose the common man who wanted nothing but a life of chicken farming and marketeering. But if no one else is going to do it, someone has to.
Indeed so. And I notice you've chosen as your gift from your pagan Saxon gods, Woden, Tunir, and the rest, boundless vitality. When was the first time you realized that Woden had given you this gift?
I didn't realize it was a gift until I found out that not every other farmer could plow a field in a day.
Yeah, who needs that oxen? Okay. Let's move along. Greg, say hello and tell us something about Hild the Outlaw.
Yeah, I'm Greg, he, him, and Hild the Outlaw, she, her, is she is a pagan Saxon, and she has the gift of insight. Your gods sometimes grant you insight into the intentions of others. I would say she kind of comes from I assume everything's backwoods in this culture, but backwoods for the backwoods. Maybe she comes from a very poor off family that wasn't really respected. And so I think what happened is she actually has murdered somebody in her past. And that was, it is during like some sort of robbery. She ended up murdering the person she was robbing.
Oh, right. So this wasn't in defense of being robbed. This was killing someone while she was robbing them.
Right. Now, I think this person who she robbed was a bad guy, but, things escalated and, she ended up murdering him. I think that, and then, I kind of like that dark history, but then now she's helping people. So I think she helps people with a very rough and brusque way, and does things for herself.
I'm curious again. When did you discover that you had been gifted by the gods?
Yes, and I would say I think it was for this murder. She realized that this bad guy was probably hoarding something that she wanted. And so she kind of realized, oh, this guy is paranoid. He's going to be all by himself. I can get this. And so, we'll say she was stealing some what do they have? Sheep? She was stealing some sheep.
Okay. And presumably Woden granted her the view that this was a bad guy worth stealing from and then killing.
I'd say the killing was accidental. not accidental, but
Okay.
that wasn't the plan.
That wasn't the
but
intention.
she did end up killing. Was not manslaughter, not premeditated. Or
That works for me.
if
Okay.
that's the right
Because
description.
now she's trying to be a hero. Okay.
Maybe.
Will, say hello and tell us something about Kenos, the sword of God.
Hi, my pronouns are he, him, as are those of Kenos, the sword of God. Kenos is a Christian Briton. I'm not entirely sure of the timelines here, but I was thinking that in his former life, he was a mercenary, a warrior, a sword for hire. And he perhaps fought as a mercenary for the forces of King Beda at one point, if we're allowed, yeah. And you know, he didn't really think much about his life beyond what he was good at and surviving. But the work got bloodier and bloodier, and one raid upon a rival settlement saw him, murder an innocent before he could hold it in the bloodlust. And he looked around him and saw all the harm that he was doing here. And God helped him undo the sin that he had committed and gave it the dead body that he held in his hands was restored to life, healed of the injuries that he'd inflicted.
That's a proper miracle. And that explains why you've taken the gift of Pain's balm.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
I think I was about to cross one of the veils there in the lines even. So it's an innocent. We won't go any further into that.
Okay. And then Tyler, say hello and tell us something about Gildas, the Fae changeling.
Hi there, I'm Tyler, he, him pronouns, and I am playing Gildas, the Fae changeling, who is serves a Fae Lord, which we will come to hear more about, I think, but was insinuated into the community young, I believe probably replaced a child fairly young. The child is now enjoying the delights beneath the mound, whereas I am out amongst these people. I'm red-haired, pale, and kind of a little different looking than both the Saxons or the Britons, and so I probably claim that I have Pictish heritage more than anything else. My parents are now gone. I feel that probably my Fae Lord is wanting to keep an eye on what these Saxons are doing in the lands, and that is what I'm sent for. One notable or unusual thing that probably harkens back, at least in people's mind, to my Pictish heritage is I tend to use bronze implements rather than iron, but it's more because of how it offends my lord.
Because in this setting, the Fae are only truly killed with bronze. Right. We will come back to your lord.
Oh, interesting.
But I am curious. What is your true Fae form? Gildas?
I think I'm probably of the Denon, of the people under the hills. So I imagine that it's not dramatically different than I look, though I'm probably thinner and would have that kind of unearthly beauty. My skin would be so white, almost translucent white, and larger eyes. But it would be considered, as many people would say, like an elf, but it's the Denon.
Well, again, one of the conceits here is that any unearthly, for most of the time, you appear human. It's only sometimes that the mask cracks, and we'll come to that in a bit. Okay, so there are our heroes trudging across country. Who knows where they've been or where they're heading to? But I do want to know something about your relationships with one another. I'm curious. Can I go back round to Eadric and simply ask, what did you do that was good for one of these characters?
Ooh. I have two ideas, one blatant, one more sinister. For our changeling, the blunt one is just that I didn't tell on you when I had the chance, like when people would have believed me. And the other one is I'm the reason Hild's murder was never found. I buried the guy.
Ooh.
Well, let me ask then, Hild or Gildas, which one of you wants to pick that one up?
I do like having someone know who I am, so that I'm all about it. But if you like yours, Hill, that one's cool too.
Go for it.
Okay, so Ferret, what you'll find is down at about row 52-3, you'll find debts of honor. And you've the good thing, so you put Gildas in the character, you've just summarized that, didn't tell them. And that means that they owe you a debt. Yeah. And while you're filling that in, I'll move around the table a bit. So let's go to Hild. Hild, what's the best thing you've done for one of these characters?
I have a question. The pagan versus Christian, were the Christians proselytizers, or were these kind of two cultures that were separate?
Okay, I think it's fair to say that there are some Christians who live quietly under Saxon rule, keep their heads down, worship in private. Equally, this is a time of missionaries. Okay.
How about, because she's kind of backwoods country bumpkin, she doesn't care that Senis is a Christian. So, sorry, I blanked on it. Something good I did for somebody?
Something good that you did for Kenneth.
Yeah. Let's say I helped. How about I helped? Was it Kenneth or?
Kenneth, yeah.
Kenneth. How about I helped Kenneth in battle? That there was some sort of danger. Yeah, you were about to be killed, and I
helped me defend the pilgrims from your fellow bandits, maybe.
Okay, and I didn't know why, right? I just, it looked bad, and I did it. So and that's how we'll say how we met.
Yeah, well, I know why, clearly.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course.
So again, you would fill in under character, Kenneth, just a phrase or a sentence on what it's about, and Kenneth, they owe you a debt. Let's go to Kenneth then. Kenneth, what have you done that's good for one of your fellow heroes?
I have vouched for Hild. I have said that she is not the bandit that people believe her to, that some people believe her to be or claim to be. She
believes as well. She believes to be as well.
Yes, but we can all change our ways. For is that not the Christ Lord's message to us all?
So fine, Kenneth, if you would just fill that in and show that Hild owes you a debt. And finally, Gildas, what's the best thing that you've done for one of these characters in your time together, or when you met, or whatever?
How does this sound? Hild, how about while you were being pursued by the authorities, I helped hide you?
All right. I like it.
Yeah, fine. So again, under character, Hild, debt of honor, brief summary of that. And they owe you a debt. And let's go back round. Now, just to be clear, the flip works. So, for instance, Gildas owes Iadric a debt. It would be helpful if Gildas puts Iadric and makes a note that you owe them a debt, just for reference, just so you know. Yeah. But I'm curious now. I want to go back round and ask Eadric, what's the second best thing you've done for one of these characters? Or the other thing you've done? You could reuse the one you came up with earlier.
I think with Kenneth, I opened my home in with hospitality. I let him and the pilgrims stay.
That works.
And fed them and everything.
So again, you put Kenneth, offered hospitality or something similar, and mark them as owing you one. And then Kenneth, you owe them one. Let's go to Hild. What's the second best thing that you've done for these, Hild?
Yes. How about Eadric? I helped. Does Eadric have a family, or is
I don't know. He's clearly left them behind, but
yeah.
Apart from the donkey and the chicken.
How about there was some I was being castigated or, bullied in some way by the town. And I, even during all this, I helped Eadric because he's a kind person. And so we'll say, oh, no, how about this? Eadric was being ostracized from the town. And I helped him one winter, like feed his family.
I think maybe more like you grew up like a hermit, like in the woods, like so you probably know like some natural remedies or things like that. Maybe like I injured myself overworking, and you actually just like made it so I could work. I could keep working.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so same process. Moving along, Kenneth, what's the next best thing that you've done, or the other nice thing you've done for one of these characters?
I have protected Gildas from his lord's wrath.
Ooh. Okay. Does that work for Gildas?
Oh, yes. That sounds wonderful.
Okay. So, fill that in. And then finally, Gildas, what is the other good thing you've done for one of these characters?
Oops, I'm muted. I think I warned Kenneth of an ambush.
Yeah.
Fine. Does that sound good?
Yeah. No, I mean, we need no more detail than that. So what you should end up then is with two characters owing you a debt and you owing two characters a debt. Yeah. Now those can cancel out, but they each have a certain amount of weight when they're called in. So, and you'll find that in the debt moves. I'm going to suggest that we take a break there because we've not been on screen for long, but we know we've been working hard. I will tell you that I am going to ask you for another debt shortly. And I'll tell you where it is just so you can mull it over while we all take a break. Can you go back to the settlement tab? And down about row 40, you'll see when the heroes arrive at a settlement, they each choose a complication that involves one of the people living there. Yeah? And basically, it depends whether you want to go for a complication that involves you owing an NPC a debt or having an NPC owe you a debt. And then the choices you've got are, do you want to involve one of the other player characters in that? Do you want to screw them for another debt? Or do you want to owe them a debt? Yeah? So mull that over about which of this rich and varied cast of people that we've created you want to owe a debt or have them owe a debt. The way this matters is that when you come to seek hospitality, the nature of the hospitality will vary depending on whether they owe you a lot or whether you owe them a lot. Okay? Mull that over. Shall we take a full 10 minutes and be back here at 1:15? I'll see you then. I'm going to pause the recording now. Okay, we're back from our break. We've fleshed out the settlement of Aethelburh, this which is held by the Lord Bardwulf. We know that Bardwulf has a wife-to-be, Sidwil. We know that Madoc, a proud Christian thane, is present. And we also know that there's an aging priest of Woden called Aethelburh. We know that we have a chaste loon in the settlement. We know we have a talkative healer, a desirable hunter, a mischievous alewife, and a thoughtful smith in the settlement as well. And we know that in the vicinity of the settlement, we have a set of foul standing stones, a treacherous ravine, a dangerous winding path. We know not whence it starts or whence it ends, and a haunted ancient hill fort. So that is the settlement that our band of heroes are approaching. But while I remember, I will just check in and say that we have, I think unless anybody's forgotten to add any, we have lines on sexual assault and violence, death, endangerment of children, infection or plague as a major plot point. We are veiling torture by PCs or by NPCs and domestic violence and animal abuse and consensual sex. And we have an ask first around consensual sex, betrayal between PCs. You're heroes, you can't possibly betray one another. Certainly not in session 1 of 5. And violent conflict between PCs, again, ask first. I don't expect that to be a major part of the game, I'll be honest. But, you know, I've been surprised before. The situation is that the countryside is a dangerous place. King Edwin of Northumbria has recently died in battle, defeated by a kind of a strange alliance between a supposedly Christian Welsh king and a pagan Saxon king. They defeated Edwin. Edwin has brought peace to most of the island. It's said that at the height of his reign, a woman could travel on any distance along any of the roads unmolested. That sadly is no longer the case. Cadwallon, the Welsh king, is ravaging the north. And so it is probably late autumn, early winter. But Iadric, as you're traveling across country towards Aethelburh, what's the weather like?
Are we not going to do
I'll get you there in a minute.
The weather is, let's make it like today, foggy and dim.
Kenneth, what was the last sign of the depredations of the Welsh that you came across? Bearing in mind our lines and veils.
Yes, it was a broken caravan of wagons that had clearly been raided, and there was sword marks and axe marks in the wood.
And bodies all about, I'm sure.
Of course.
Yes. Gildas, is your Fae Lord particularly associated with a time of year or a kind of weather or a kind of location?
Yes, my Fae Lord is associated with the Barrows.
Fine. And what told you that he was watching you as you past a long barrow? What sign is there of his interest?
I think that through the fog, as I see the barrow, it swirled in a way that I could see a figure there.
A figure in the mist. Okay, and finally, Hild. It's been some time since you engaged in proper outlawry, but what's tempted you back most recently? Away from the straight and narrow and back to a life outside of society? You are muted.
She just doesn't fit in. She tried to do, we'll say she tried to work. She tried to hire for a shopkeeper and they just got frustrated with her. She tried to work on a farm and everyone pissed her off. So yeah, she just doesn't fit in anywhere else, she feels.
And I have one last question for Gildas. Which burden has your Fae Lord cursed you with for refusing to serve them all the time?
Oh.
Now, you'll find a slot on about row 15, which is a permanent temptation that will always apply to you. I want you to mull that over for a little while. I don't expect an instant answer, but I will want to know at some point in this kind of before we take another break. There in the mist, you've been traveling most of the day. It's been dark in the afternoon because of the time of year in the mist. The sun has barely lit up the sky, and you're trudging through this bleak moorland towards Aethelburh. No one, I think, is absolutely certain why your footsteps have been guided this way, but they have. And so let us ask the question about who you know here. So let me start with Yadrik. Each of you has a complication of some kind involving this settlement. Which of our cast of non-player characters is your complication involved with?
Okay, let me see if I can pronounce this. Eotenweard.
Okay.
The alewife.
The mischievous alewife. Yeah. And does she owe you a debt, or do you owe her a debt?
I owe her a debt.
Okay, so you owe them a debt. Does this involve any other hero, or is this a personal one?
I think this this can involve, I think, either Gildas or Kinnis from my past.
And do you want this to end up with them owing you a debt, or you owing them a debt?
Me owing them a debt.
Okay, so you once did something dishonorable that had an effect on Eotenweard, and one of the other characters stood by you or protected you in some way, or she once did something to help you and one of the PCs helped them do it.
Yeah, I'm thinking she basically put in an bought my farmland to grow hops, barley, the stuff for ale, and for that purchase, I was thinking either Kinnis taught me the proper way to grow it, or Gildas did. That it was not a crop I was used to growing.
Gildas or Kinnis, who wants to get into that?
I will say then that he grew up growing this exact crop before he took up the sword, not enjoying the life of a farmer.
Okay, so that then in summary is NBC once did something to help me, and Kinnis helped them do it. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that across into your, and then you can fill in the detail, Iadric, and put the debts as necessary. Yeah. Add the debt or owe the debt to Kenneth, depending on which way you throw it. Okay, let's move on to Kenneth then. Kenneth, are you looking to owe a debt to one of these people, or have them owe you a debt?
I'm looking for them to owe me a debt.
Fine. And is this something that just involves you, or do you want to involve one of the other heroes in it?
I once did something to help the proud Thane of the proud Thane of this, and I think what's he called again? Mad Dog, isn't it? The proud Thane. Yeah, Mad Dog, the proud Thane. And I think I did that with Gilfras.
Gildas.
Gildas, even. Sorry, yes.
Okay. So I will copy that across as long as Gildas is a willing, and put that over there under Kenneth. Oops, so Daisy, I always get that wrong. There you go. If you could fill in some of the details and do that, that'd be good. Let's go to Hild. Hild, do you want the settlement to owe you, or do you want to owe the settlement?
All right. I'm going to go big or go home, and feel free. I can pick something else. Bardawolf tricked me into killing his old wife.
Oh my goodness me. I'm prepared to live with that.
All right, let's do it.
So he owes you a debt.
Yeah.
You once did something to help Bardwolf.
Yeah. By tricked, I want to mean, he had me. Yeah, I was kind of an idiot, but yeah, he had me do something which obviously would have killed his wife. So do something dangerous. And we'll actually say I took her to the.
Let me suggest that you don't tell us the details.
I like it.
Yeah, let's have that emerge. So I think I once did something to help NPC. Yeah. So if you can just flesh that out and add Bardwolf, then that would be good. And finally, Gildas, do you want to end up having the settlement owe you, or do you want to owe the settlement?
I believe the settlement owes me.
Okay. So they owe you a debt. Why? Is that just involving you, or do you want to tie some other poor hero into this?
It's just me.
Okay.
And I once did something to help Elfgar.
Okay. So if I put that across there, you can fill in the details as whatever you like, as long as we know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
The details can be filled in as we play.
Alan, can I just, sorry, I think the two middle boxes have accidentally been copied across each other, maybe? Because they say exactly the same thing, even though one of them is owe a debt and the other one is you are owed a debt.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I imagine that the one that the NPC owes you a debt is that I did something to help NPC and PC helped me do it. Yeah,
you're right. You're right.
Cool.
I again, you see, if I was any good at this spreadsheet build business, we'd be home free. Thanks for the spot. So what's important is that I now know how many debts the settlement owes you and how many you owe them. So do you want to just spend a moment just making sure we've got that tied down?
And where am I? Where are we putting this in?
So can you see in the same place is that you have the debts between you as heroes?
Okay. I
just put in the kind of I once did something to help NPC. So if you just wrap a bit of detail around that, and that means that they owe you a debt.
Do we take an extra debt with the PC if we involved a PC
Yes.
and yeah?
Yeah.
So
Or they would. Yeah.
Yeah. So in my case, I would owe Gildas one, and Madog would owe me one. Yeah.
Exactly so.
And should I put in what I did?
In whatever detail you want to put.
Okay.
So it's looking like the settlement owes Gildas, Kenneth, and Hild something. But Eadric owes them something. Yeah, I'm reading that correctly, I think. Okay, so let's have you arrive at Aethelburh. There's a wooden stockade and a ditch. This is not a large settlement. We're probably talking about dozens of people, rather nowhere near, hundreds of people. So we'll talk about dozens of people, mostly kind of small cottage type, rectangular, thatched, single room, somewhere for the animals, primitive building techniques in wood. But in the center of the settlement is a much larger structure, as you would expect. But before you get to that point, at the gate in the stockade are a couple of Saxon warriors who, as you emerge out of the mist, challenge you. Who responds? I'm struck by the fact that Kenneth is the only person who's mounted, which is a sign of status. So they will see a warrior, a gloriously accoutred warrior emerge, and they will halt who goes there.
Oh, my name is Kenneth, and I travel with my companions. Tell me, what settlement have we reached? Is this Aethelburh?
It is Aethelburh. What brings you here, Lord?
We seek shelter for the night and to speak with Lord Bardewulf, for our path has drawn us here. We are Eotenweard, warriors against the darkness.
This is a dangerous time for strangers to be traveling the land, Lord. I would ask you to wait a moment. And one of them dashes off into the mist towards the center of the settlement and returns a little while later with presumably, I think, Bardewulf himself. And he peers into the mist. Have we got a characteristic for Bardewulf? I don't think we have we? We didn't. Who wants to offer me an interesting characteristic that I can hang Bardewulf on? First come, first served.
I'm thinking older warrior.
Okay.
But still grim. He's grim.
Grim.
Yeah.
Right. Let's have him be grim. As would befit someone who has recently lost a wife.
You'd think.
And Bardewulf peers into the mist and he doesn't. Would he recognize you, Kenneth, do you think? Or would you need to say something to him?
I don't think he would recognize me particularly. I think Madog is the one that I know here. And I would say, "Ho, Lord Bardewulf. My name is Kenneth. I am known to your thane, Madog. These are my companions, Aedric, Gildas, and Hild."
And I think that then we are at that point where one of the basic moves is called seek hospitality. When the heroes seek hospitality at a settlement and present themselves, each of them states who they know, who they are known to. Then one of them rolls +1 debt they are collectively owed, -1 debt they are collectively owed. So you are currently looking at a +2 here. I think, Kenneth, you have self-selected, I think, in terms of who makes the die roll. So would you roll 2d6 plus 2, please?
Sure. Let me just get rid of the d20s. I was so that is 12.
12. Is anybody seeing that?
What room are we in? Because I've used roll with me XYZ G globe provide green in the lines and veils sheet.
Yeah, I see a 10.
I'm sorry. I think I forgot that I put one in. Let me go there instead. Fine.
It's a it's a visual dice room rather than a
It is. Sorry about that. So, oh well, that's spot on then, isn't it?
Yes.
So I think that we will cut swiftly to the hall. Smoky. The ceiling is quite high, but it's thick with the smoke from a large hearth burning in the middle, and it is busy. Clearly, there is some kind of feast going on, and it doesn't take long to work out that this is around the arrival of Sidwil, the next wife of the Lord. And on a 10, the hospitality is generous, and the heroes agree what the GM describes, or they defer the choice to the GM. Do we see, on a 7+, you are made welcome and offered hospitality. The heroes agree which of the following happens, or they defer the choice to the GM. There is a disagreement among some NPCs. Something strange happens, or the door of the hall suddenly bursts open. Let me ask Gildas, which of those three options do we see?
Oh, wait, we got a 12, right?
You did. I'll do the 7+ first.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Oh, I see. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Not a 7 to 9, 7+. Gotcha.
I believe there was something strange happens. Is that
exactly?
I like that one.
Okay. Do you want to tell me what that is?
Yes. I think that as we enter and the doors open, that it is as though the mist has followed us in, and it scoots across the floor and wraps around the fire, and kind of dims it, as this smell of the outside and wet enters into the hall.
I like that. And it certainly goes quiet at that point. But because you rolled 10+, the hospitality is generous and the heroes agree what the GM describes, or they defer the choice to the GM. It is the Lord, lady, or someone close to them is involved. The supernatural is involved, or violence is involved. Let me ask Eadric, which of those whets your appetite?
Well, to continue on with what happened, I think the supernatural is involved.
It certainly sounded like that, didn't it? Okay. So what makes it, I mean, it sounds weird, but it could have just been the doors open, the mist flows in, and just, it's just mist. What confirms that something supernatural is going on here, Eadric?
The mist circles around the fire, and then the fire, we think it begins to dim and then brighten, until we realize it's a heartbeat. And the mist's shape takes the face of the old wife and lets out one howl before dissipating.
Oh, right. Okay, on a 12+, the first hero to act has advantage in their immediate response to what happens. Who does what? First one to leap in. Don't be proud. Just leap. You're too polite on the gauntlet.
I leap in with my bringing my shield, I believe, which is probably the only thing I'm carrying with me.
Indeed, you will. Well, what Gildas described was you actually entering the hall. So I think you are about to be asked to hand over your weapons, as anyone entering a hall would be asked to do. So I don't think at this point you are without weapons, Kenneth.
Okay, so perhaps it's even as I'm, taking it out. Yeah, and I spring in to protect any innocence.
And how do we see you do that?
Well, could I just get a brief recap of what it was? Sorry, because
Okay.
I accidentally hit a button and couldn't hear something for a few seconds.
Okay, what I think we've got then is the mist flows in from outside, and it seems to just swirl around the fire, where the fire kind of dims and then glows, but then it dims and then glows. And then the mist seems to take on the shape of a woman in her middle years.
I think Bardewulf, the Lord, is next to me, and I step between them and I raise the spear and I say, "Hold, creature."
And are you seeking to trigger a move here, or are you just waiting for me to throw something at you?
I guess I don't know, because it's. I think I'm going to look about me, considering the risks, opportunities, or clues in the scene.
Okay, so roll plus sense.
I think I only have a flat 0 in sense. No, I have a 1 in sense. Okay.
So rare in a sword of God.
It is. That's 11.
Well, that looks pretty good then, doesn't it?
It does.
So on a 7 to 9, you can ask one question. On a 10 plus, you can ask 2. About the location, situation, someone, something, whatever it takes your fancy.
Okay. My first question is, what might happen here next?
I think that you catch the look on Bardewulf's face, and he looks at Hild with a look of anger on his face. So it looks like he's shaping up to be displeased with Hild, I think.
Okay.
Let me pause there.
No,
Eadric,
yeah.
what are you doing?
I would like to, I want to almost humorously, hopefully, use my commoner move of, look, let me check to make sure it's the correct, look at this. And I think Eadric is standing slack-jawed at the woman's form, and then hears a cluck, and his chicken is pecking at something.
Okay. So when you let your mind wander to your simple life before you received your gift and tell us what you remember and owe your god a debt, you find something that might provide important information or insight. So what does this situation remind you of, or what do we see as a flashback before we see this work?
I think we see Eadric and a woman that has no name yet. This will be like under, during the credits, just be Eadric's woman, and they're both reaching for this egg, and the chicken hatches, and their hands like both cut, each one hand each cups the chicken, and like that chick is now that chicken.
Okay, and so you can owe your god a debt to find something. Are you prepared to owe your god a debt?
I am.
You'll find that down there in Debts of Honor. Go ahead, owe your god a debt. And what do you find? What do you say you find? Agree with the GM what it is.
I think if it's okay with Hild as well, like this was the trinket she brought back to prove the job was done.
That is slipped from Hild's pack. And yes, indeed. Shall we say it's a ring? Yeah. So it's a ring. And Hild, you will recognize this ring as the ring that you did indeed remove from the finger of the old wife. What do you do, Hild? This is all going south very quickly.
Yeah. So it it falls. It slips out, falls to the floor.
And the chicken is pecking at it. Happily,
I-
Bardwulf is focused on his wife's face.
Okay. Wait. Let me check something. Okay. Okay. I'm kind of rough with the chicken. I just kind of, kick it to the side. And I try to discreetly pick up the ring, and actually what I do is okay, so I pick up the ring, and
Well, this
I
is what
go
you'd
over-
like to do. This is what you're going to try to do, I guess.
Gotcha.
So shall
yeah,
we
I'm
have
gonna
you
just-
face danger? When you
But-
face
but,
danger by taking a risk or acting in difficult circumstances.
Oh, okay. But what's the danger?
Well, I
You
think the danger
notice?
is that more people spot it.
Gotcha. Okay. What I do is I kick the chicken and try to knock the ring back into a shadowy area where I'll later go pick it up.
Okay, that sounds like, I don't know. Well, you tell me, which characteristic?
Let's see. I mean, that sounds subtle, which I'm at a -1. So
I mean, I'd go with subtle, or I'd go
Yeah.
with steel, to be honest, to be cool under pressure.
let's do subtle.
Okay?
Let's see. Okay. Let me get my. Oh, wow. All right. Okay. Whoops. Sorry. Trash. Okay, here we go. Roll. An 8.
Oh, that could have been a lot worse. So
Yeah.
on an 8, on 7+, you do it. Okay? So
Yep.
you kick it into the shadows, under a table, under a bench somewhere.
Yeah.
But on 7 to 9, the GM chooses. You suffer harm doing it. That doesn't seem logical. It takes longer than you'd hoped. That doesn't. Respite is temporary. The risk, difficult circumstances, or situation you're facing will return. I think that fits absolutely on the money. Yeah. So you've got it away from Bardwulf and anybody else, but maybe some other member of the settlement who's sitting in that bench is about to bend down and pick it up.
Yeah.
Gildas, what's your reaction to these events?
I wanted to ask if should I do my seeming human?
I'm very happy for you to kick that one off now. This is the one that tells us whether at the start of each session, you usually clothe yourself in the appearance of humanity. Let's see if any mortals can spot that there's more to you than meets the eye. Roll plus
Alrighty.
soul.
I got a 10. Yay.
Well, that's not so bad then. On a 10+, your outward appearance is seamlessly maintained. I'm going to tick that box to show that you've now done that. You don't have to worry until next time.
Excellent.
So with that in mind, what have you done that might have drawn people to look at you?
I think I've looked across at over to let's see, yes, Elfgar, since I know him,
Yeah.
and what dark shade is this that has come? It must be sent away. And
Yeah, go on. And so what specifically are you hoping is going to happen?
I'm hoping he's going to come over and attempt to, doing his priestly business, send it on its way.
And I'm sure Elfgar would have been quicker, but he's aging. And so he gets his staff and he gets to his feet and he says, and he's got a bone rattle and he's shaking it. Begone shade, begone shade, begone shade. And the shade disperses. And he, behold the power of the Lord Woden.
I smile broadly at that.
Kenneth, is this a good time for you to think about your kind of when you
session.
arrive at a settlement?
Yes, could I? But I do have another hold left on Look About You.
Oh, you do. You
Yes.
do.
So I was going to say, ask how, what's she called? The new spouse, Sidwell, reacts to this vision.
You know, tell me something about Sidwell. You know, is Sidwell, presumably she's a young woman.
Yes. I think, yeah, she's young. She's has an easy smile that seems to change with every person that she speaks to. And has always been very ambitious.
Okay,
You know?
I think that what you see is this young woman who doesn't look as though she is calculating, but you can see her looking around the hall, you know, doing the thinking. You know, where's the benefit in this to me?
Oh, can I add that she looks, her husband looks at Hild, and then you just see that look of shock just instantly replaced with that, and then back to, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And Bardwulf is very swiftly, the shade is gone. The shade is gone. This is not a question. There is nothing to be concerned about. We have new guests. And Kenneth, he will introduce you to his betrothed, Sidwell. And Madog is there. And what I mean, Madog is proud, and you can see him looking at the Lady Sidwell and looking at Bardwulf. And there is a kind of inner glow in him. He seems very proud to see his lord and this young woman together.
Okay.
Okay.
I would greet Mad Dog with a well met and so forth. I think Mad Dog, being proud, is a little bit slightly resentful about that we saved his life, but also like can't renege on that. You know what I mean? So he's in that very tense sort of.
Because he's very proud of his honor.
Yeah.
Gildas, is there anything you want to do during the feast?
Yeah, I'm going to have worked my way around following Elfgar after this, and I'm wanting to chat him up about the nature of this, you know, obviously this wonderful nuptial, but sort of the situation that's going on there.
Well, it turns out that Sidwell is actually Madog's niece. He says that Madog, though he is a Christian and a Briton, Sidwell is his daughter to a Saxon woman, and he is very proud that Bardwulf has chosen her to be the new lady of Aethelburh.
There have been many good Saxon thanes who have taken Christian wives and found themselves straying from the old gods.
And he says, no, he has no concerns about that. What Madog does in his own time, he is a proud and worthy warrior. What he does in his own time, how he chooses to worship, is not a great concern to Bardwulf. What matters is that Sidwell will give him sons.
You do not fear that Bardwulf will soon take his new wife's faith?
Oh, no. My lord is solid in Woden.
I hope you are correct.
Are you trying to... What are you wanting to get out of this conversation, Gildas?
I'm wanting him to be a little more suspicious of this, but really I suppose I'm digging for gossip on what maybe the uncle and niece are wanting out of this.
So uncle and niece, I beg your pardon, not daughter. I think that you want to ask me some questions, don't you? So that's Look About You.
All right.
Roll plus sense.
Rolling plus sense, and my sense is not terrible if I remember correctly. It's 0. So not terrible. Did I roll again? I did. I got a 7.
So on a 7, ask me a question about the location, situation, someone, something, or agree a detail to be added to the fiction.
Let's see. I think I'm going to ask a question. Tell me more about this uncle. Was it Wolfgar? Was that it?
Madog is the uncle.
Madog, that's it.
The proud Madog.
Yes, tell me more of this Madog. You say he is a great warrior, but there are many great warriors. What raises him so high in our Lord's estimation?
He fought beside our Lord in the shield wall for King Edwin. And Edwin recently took, I think very unwisely, took to some of the Christian ways and encouraged Christians, whatever their heritage, to join his warband. And Madog was one of the Britons who joined.
This martyr god will wash over us all if we are not careful, Elfgar.
I am. Woden remains the only god that we should follow. He and the other Aesir are. How can you have one god? How can one god do everything? It makes no sense.
It makes no sense, and he died.
Indeed. What power is there in that? Which warrior would follow a god who died a prisoner?
Yes, what warrior indeed.
Okay. Let's go round to Eadric. So what you saw, Eadric, was you saw this ring drop out of Hild's pack, and then Hild kicked it into under the table. What are you going to do about that, Eadric? If anything. I mean, he also kind of cuffed the chicken.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go up to Hild holding my chicken, giving it little pats on the head, and you can either apologize to my sweet pet, or I can figure out why you were so angry.
I'd say, keep your eyes on that chicken. It was bothering me, and I don't let no chickens bother me.
I'm sorry, is it the fact that it was getting more jewelry than you have ever been gifted, the bother?
What's gotten to you, you all high and mighty chicken farmer?
You kicked my dear pet. That was rude. That is not hospitality.
I mean, better than I choked it too early, right? It needs to get a bit more meat on its bones.
I'll cover the chickens. Screw this. I'm going to go try and find that ring now.
What? No,
Okay.
you don't.
Okay. So let's go to Eadric. So it went over there somewhere under that bench at which there are seated other members of the settlement. What do we see? Well, you just down there on your hands and knees under the table? What do we see?
The chicken obviously escaped, and I'm just doing my job by trying to get the chicken by following it under the table.
Get a hold of your chicken, for God's sakes.
While Hild makes a fuss, I'm struggling to see this isn't face danger, but I'm curious which attribute you think fits best what you're trying to do, unless you've got something else in mind.
I think this is face danger subtle. I'm trying to pull off that this is just my job.
Okay, let's roll with subtle then.
Okay, let me add the modifier. That is a 9.
On a 9, you do it, but I choose. You suffer harm doing it. It takes longer than you'd hoped. I think it takes longer than you'd hoped. So by being very subtle, I think there is a possibility that Hild could get to it first.
Ooh.
So Hild, is that, as you see Adric saying, oh, the chicken's got loose, and kind of working
Yeah.
his way.
She sees conniving, she notices conniving when she sees it. So she is anything but subtle now, right? She's worked up. Somehow this guy, she's all tense about this ring, and then this guy gets in her face about his chicken, and so she's running for that. She, maybe she even grabs him by the leg and yanks him out, trying to get ahead.
Okay, so I think this is steal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so roll plus steal. Let's see how this goes.
12.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I tear his leg off.
Well, you do it.
Okay.
And on a 12 plus, say how you impress those watching and gain advantage on your next move.
Okay. And
no, I'm not going to let you tear his leg off.
Okay. Edric, if this is okay, she'll take the chance of having been the butt of a lot in her life. She takes the chance to make you the butt of you kind of annoyed her. So she like grabs your leg and she's like, oh, what? You got stuck under the table there? And, turns into a comedy routine. If this is okay with you.
Yeah, and like maybe like I'm getting to, like the ring is near the like the heads of the group, and like you drag me out right before I get it. And like if you sit me down at the commoners' end, it's like nope, here's where you belong.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Do I on a 12? Can I grab the ring?
Oh yeah. Oh, you do it. You get the ring.
I grab the ring, and I would say Edric, she's a feisty person, and this is all just a day in the life of Edric and I'm sorry. Hild's a feisty person. This is all day in the life of Edric and Hild. Don't say the wrong thing to her or you might set her off.
Okay. And I think that possibly, there's quite a lot of hilarity now focused on Edric and this little routine and a lot of attention at that end of the table. So Kenneth, are you going to do anything while there's attention at that end of the table?
I'm going to have a word with my dog. My dog is one Christian warrior to another. 'Tis an ill omen when the dead walk the earth. Something wrong must have been done. Yeah, 'tis this crime against God for the restless dead to trouble the living.
I mean, somebody said there was a shade. It seemed to me it was just some mist and the smoke from the fire. I'll not have it ruin this evening.
Indeed, my dog. But there will be other evenings.
Well, we'll talk upon this tomorrow.
Indeed, my dog, indeed. And I clap him on the shoulder and I stare into the fire, drinking, and perhaps I roll my my start of session move.
I think that would be good.
So that is plus...
Enemy of God, when you arrive at a settlement, tell us something you did for God in the past that you considered dishonorable.
I considered dishonorable that I did for God in the past. Okay. I protected a murderer, a man whose hands were stained with the blood of many battles and many raids, a man much like myself in the past, and God bade me spare him.
Now, there is a place in the character sheet, roll 49, where you can record various things that emerge in play about your history and background. So feel free to use that space, because I won't remember them, I'll be honest with you.
Yes.
But before you do that, let's have you roll with steel. Pray for the victim's forgiveness and roll with steel.
Well, I think he went on to kill after I let him go again. Yeah. Well, it's not going very well. That's a 6.
A 6. On a 6-, you are unworthy of aid. Oh God, a debt, in the hope he notices your desire to do his bidding in the future.
Okay.
That'll teach you to bring up something that you don't think God should have asked for. So you got, oh God, a debt. I think that might be a good point for a short 5-minute break. Okay, I will pause the recording. Okay, we're back. So I think I'm going to cut to the following morning because I think we've explored the hall. We've got most of our NPCs on screen in one way or another. So let us cut to the following morning, and Gildas, what do we see of you as the cock crows the following morning?
I think that with the feast, I drank well, but my metabolism and my ability to drink is sufficient to the task. And so as it's an early morning, I think you see me step out, and the sun has cut through. There's no mists this time. It's bright. And I'm looking kind of into this settlement, and basically I'm stretching. It's one of these things of getting myself loose and limber, kind of warming myself up.
And also a chance for the audience to see that fine statuesque body in which you clothe yourself.
Absolutely.
Indeed. What about Hild? What do we see of Hild? Because I'm curious whether Hild has had any thoughts through the night.
Yeah, she's definitely nursing a hangover. Cursing last night. And part of that drinking was spurred by that ghost, the shade that came up. And we'll say what we'll say is she remembers that Bardawulf's previous wife was very devoted to the pagan gods, and maybe that made him uncomfortable. It made Bardawulf uncomfortable. She was maybe too devout, too extreme. And she claimed to when she realized that Hild was being responsible for her death, she cursed Hild. Now Hild gets cursed 3 times a week by people, so she didn't think that much to it, but she's a little worried now. Like, wait a second, that is this something I should be concerned of?
I think that's when you're aware of someone standing behind you. The male voice says, "I know what you did, Hild."
What? Oh, not so loud.
Do you turn around?
Yeah.
There's a hooded figure. You can't really see their face in the folds of the hood. And what's strange is that you all will have slept in the hall. So there's lots of other sleeping bodies around. But nobody else seems to notice the conversation you're having with this quite well-built male, certainly from build. I know what you did, Hild.
Half the town knows what the things I've done.
I know that you killed her.
What? Shh, don't say stuff like that. It just what?
I see everything.
What?
Hild.
What? All right. Where's do I have something cool to do? She pulls out a knife, puts it out, walks up to him, trying to be kind of tough. We'll say she's shorter than a man, but she's used to be able to intimidate men. And
Oh,
she walks up.
She has a move called thug.
Ah, okay, yes. There we go.
You need no further
Yes.
explanation than that.
I like it. I like it. Yep. Steal. Man, I haven't been able to use my 2 yet. So yeah, she's gonna want to know who this guy is, and she's busting out the steal.
So what does this look like? What does this intimidation looks like? This threat of violence to make someone do as you ask.
She whips out the knife, puts it up at his neck, walks up, and she's like, "Who are you? And what right do you have to speak to me like that?"
Okay. Let's have you roll. Do they comply?
+1. A 9.
A 9. So when you ask someone to do as you ask, on a simple night, they will do it, but they will choose one from. It takes more time than you intended. They insist on doing it their way. They will need someone else's help. I think the only one that fits here is, I think they insist on doing it their way.
All right.
And the way they do it is they pull back their hood, and there's a man standing there with a bandage over one eye. It's Woden.
Yes.
You must make it right, Hild. And that's when you wake up with a scream. And other people in the hall stir as well, including Eadric.
And she's like, he touched me, right? She always has to get the last word, points at some guy that she can bully, yeah.
Eadric, Hild's scream and wake from dream or nightmare. What do we see you doing? That or anything else?
Yeah, I imagine that he was he had probably been waking up early, since he's used to labor, and just looks over at her screaming, looks over at her blaming someone for touching her, does not care, is walking out of the hall to let her deal with this by herself.
Fine. Kenneth, when you're woken by Hild's scream, Gildas is already out. Eadric has left the hall, is leaving the hall. What do you do?
I had spent the night praying. I did not drink, not much, and I fell asleep, troubled that God had not shown me the path here. And when Hilda screams, I remember the looks that passed between the Lord and Hild, and I approach and I say, "Hild, a word by the horses."
Oh, yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yes, let us go. And however much Hild wishes to spin the story to me,
Well, we'll come to you and the stables in a moment. Eadric, when you go outside, what's your intention this morning, if anything?
I think I'm going to go to the ale house. I mean, if there's been any gossip spreading around about last night, I want to pick it up.
Okay. We know there's an alewife, and she has a lean-to outside her cottage, with a couple of stools, where it's possible to get a cup of ale. So it's breakfast and a cup of ale for Eadric. And I've forgotten her name. She is
Eotenweard, the one that I know.
Exactly, the mischievous alewife. So she's very pleased to see you, relatively speaking, because she owes you a debt, doesn't she? Or no, you owe her.
I owe her a debt.
Yeah. Oh, she's very pleased to see you then. And what brings you here?
I believe what happened last night at the greeting house, or the hall, is what brought us here. Have you heard of it?
Well, she will have been serving ale, I dare say, so may well have seen it. And she looks round and she says, yes, it will have been some kind of trick. That old priest, he's always pretending that the gods are angry, and then he calms them down. Surprise, surprise.
You think that was a trick of the old man?
Yes, yes. He's forever saying to the Lord, oh, Woden thinks this, or Woden says that, or I spilled the guts of a chicken and it said so-and-so.
I like look down to like the seat beside me and see like the chicken is like, oh, hope she doesn't respond. And of course,
The chicken's ears.
Yeah, and look back. It's like, is it a problem that needs to be dealt with?
What do you mean?
Well, is he lying to the Lord? Is he putting this settlement at risk?
Oh, all priests lie. It's what they do to be priests. I know the gods aren't interested in me. They don't keep an eye on me. They don't do things to bother me. Why should they do things to bother a lord?
Maybe he brought it upon himself.
Well, but what about, how are you going to make good what you owe me?
He pulls the chicken closer to himself and looks up and ooh.
I mean, that's a rhetorical question. She is not calling in the debt this minute,
I know,
but she's reminding you of it.
Looks like if you have work, labor, or curiosity to be dealt with, I know many people that can help, and I can help myself.
She'll keep that in mind. Let us cut to the stables. So, Hild, what, if anything, do we hear you telling Kenneth?
Well, he starts with, has your god ever fought Woden?
I have a suspicion this is a conversation you've had before.
There is no fight against the Lord.
But like
Hild.
what if Woden was picking on you? What would your god do for you?
My God is my shield and my sword, my rod and my staff. I will fear no evil and no pagan god. Now, Hilda, do you fear an honest conversation, perhaps? Because I saw how Balderuth looked at you.
Well,
Wolf,
I was sworn to secrecy. Woden came to me and says I have to make it right. But if someone's dead, how do you make it right?
With every day of your life, Hilda. With every day of your life.
Oh God. Oh man.
But tell me.
Oh, do I have to go to the nunnery? Is this going to be about the nunnery again?
I think we are quite far in advance of that, historical timeline-wise. Yeah. But yes, I would definitely be asking you directly, like, is this blood on your hands? This dead woman.
Now, let me explain here, Hild. Your character can say anything you like here. The only way that Kenneth can compel the truth out of you is by cashing in a debt. At which point you are obliged, as it says on the debt and gift tabs, do what they say. Honestly answer the holder's question. But you don't have to do that. You could just spill.
Well, I
will cash in that debt, I think.
Yeah,
though,
I do. Definitely. I do like the whole. I think she understands that transaction, and so it says you vouch for your honor and good conduct, and deny any tales of. Or he vouched for me. So
am I, Kenneth? You're cashing in a debt.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you refuse to honor the debt, you must roll plus subtle minus the debt owed. So subtle -1.
Yeah. Nope. I'll break free. I'll say or I'll come clean. And she's like, oh, I do appreciate you're one of the few people who look me in the eye and have treated me like a person. I owe you this much. Bardawolf, he did not like his wife. And I took her. I took her to the treacherous ravine where she fell, and I had something to do with that. And now she's back, and Woden is visiting me. Why does Woden care about me now? He's never cared about me for all I've lived.
Our actions in this world have consequences in the next, Hild.
In fact, your actions have consequences in this world, because Hild, would you mark that you now owe Woden a debt? He considers you to have acted dishonorably until you put this right.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Gildas, what do we see of you having? You've done your stretch. You've had a look round.
I have a feeling that I'm not a big fan of kind of the Christian reaching into the pagan lands. I'm friend with Kenneth, and he is quite useful for much of what I want done, but evangelicism from him wouldn't be something I would be overly fond of. But to see others, villages falling to this Eastern god, that bothers me. So I think I'm going to be trying to wander about and hear what people are thinking about this new Christian wife, especially since I probably had heard how very devout his previous wife had been.
Yeah, okay. I think that's probably look about you, isn't it?
I believe so, sure.
Yeah, roll plus sense.
Okey-doke. And I think it's still a 0 unless something changed.
It hasn't changed in the last hour, no.
So, rolling. Oh, snake eyes.
Where's your god now?
Well,
Gildas?
This might be a good time to tell you about how you can improve that. You can invoke your reputation, assert your reputation. Okay, it's on the basic moves. When you announce who you are, what you are, and how that is relevant to your current action, owe your gods a debt to improve the outcome of the roll by 1 step. So failure to mixed, mixed to full. So is there anything that you think is there any reason why your Fae Lord should help you out here? Or you don't have to, it's just an offer.
I want to ask something a little bit for world. My Fae Lord, I mean, the Christians are coming in and calling the Fae Lords and all the old gods demons.
Yeah.
That is correct. Am I guessing that my Fae Lord would be in favor of stopping the Christian advance?
Yes.
All right.
I think the interesting question is whether what you would do when you were faced with a choice between doing what your Fae Lord would like and protecting the innocent as a hero.
I see. Now I don't feel like what I'm looking into now is hurting innocent folk, right?
You know, I suppose if there is an unquiet spirit, there's some risk.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But there's no immediate kind of, oh, look at that threat over there.
And you know, it may be better for the people to learn the truth. This could be. Then yeah, I think I would like to, as I kind of have moved around trying to hear what these people are doing. I will look up towards that hill fort, the hill that it stands on, knowing that my lord is one for, well, barrows are one thing, but the ancient hills still call to him. And Gadkana, my lord, this place is infested by the Christians. Their martyr god will make them weak. Am I to find what the infection is? Is that why you brought me here?
I think then, owe your Fae Lord a debt.
Mm-hmm.
We improve that failure to a mixed success, so you can ask that question. And what you hear is a whisper on the wind. The wind, it comes round from the north and begins to just flow off that hill. And in the wind, you hear the whisper of your Fae Lord. And your Fae Lord says, there was a woman here who worshipped the old gods. She was brought to an early death. And so the grip of the old gods has been weakened here.
Should her voice be heard, Lord?
That, as always, Gildas, is the hard decision you have decided you should make. In the past, you simply did what I said. Now you have chosen a path of free will. It would be improper for me to interfere with that unduly.
Yes. Your influence is so light, my lord. I am most appreciative.
I am but a breeze, Gildas, but a breeze.
That shall shatter the trees, my lord.
He could tell you stuff, but he's not going to make the moral decision for you, is I think where we get to. Yeah?
That makes sense to me. That fits, yeah.
Okay, so owe him a debt,
I do.
and all is well with the world. Eadric, you're still at the alewife, and she's noted that that you have that you are prepared to pay the debt you owe. But is there anything you want to do in the settlement?
Yeah, I think I'm going to just pull on the commoner roots in the lean-to and just talk with the basic salt of the earth people to figure out what they want done in this situation. So
okay. So I mean, do you want to ask me a question, or do you want to convince them to do something? Or something else.
I think I'm trying to look about me.
Okay, fine. Roll with sense.
Yeah.
If in doubt, look about you.
And just doing it through the gossip network. Aha, a 7.
Now, again, I'll say the same to you. You could assert your reputation as an honest to goodness, salt of the earth commoner, owe your god or gods a debt, and improve that to a full success. Or is one question enough?
I think one question is going to be enough.
Oh, but it's so tempting.
I know it is tempting, but I guess I'm going to ask what was what was Bardwolf's relationship with his ex-wife?
It's very, very tense. He didn't like the amount of time that she spent at the Standing Stones.
did not like her devotion. That does not make sense.
No, but those standing stones are to the old Celtic gods, not to the Saxons, and certainly not to the new Christ God. Didn't like her spending time up there. She would go, and she said she just went to gather herbs and mushrooms. But it's not a good place.
He'll, like slide the rest of his ale over as like the bribe and think about the healer in town.
So we seek out the healer who is talkative. So I'll give you a second question for free because they are talkative.
I hope that this, maybe if they're talkative, this might get around what I ask.
So what are you expecting them to come to you with something?
Oh, no. I'm talking about like whatever I ask them gets around town.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because they are talkative.
Okay. And so, yeah, I think all the commoners know that you've been asking questions. And it's gossip. It's gossip. Yeah. They keep it away from the hall.
Yeah,
but it's gossip.
I will, I'll ask, where was the, I guess, what was she doing on her last day? Like, what was her itinerary?
Apparently, she was found in the ravine. She must have slipped and fallen.
Did she have anything around that she had gathered from the standing stones?
Now we're into third question.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I was basically just like doing conversation that I didn't really expect her to know or not.
But you know where, and I think you can find out when.
Yeah, exactly.
But, the how, you need to go to the stables first to find out how. I think that, I know we've got 20 minutes to go, but I'm inclined to think that that's a neat place to finish episode 1. We've defined our mystery, the death of Bardwulf's wife, who I've now added as the unquiet ghost of Quenthrith. And I don't think that we're going to get much else around that mystery until next time. Is that okay? Okay. I'm not going to do stars and wishes. No, I will. Because we got 20 minutes. Let's do a quick stars and wishes, just to see what you'd like to see next time. So let's start. Let's start with Yadric. What stars are we offering, and what wishes might Yadric be looking for?
Stars. Will definitely knows this setting. It feels very cinematic when Will's on screen. I really enjoy that. Hild is MVP after the chicken. Her attitude is wonderful, and if she just had the merchandising potential of the chicken, she'd be top spot. And Gildus is very intriguing in a way that I want him on my side because I fear what would happen if he was not.
Yeah, no, I'd go with that. Do you have any wishes for next time? Anything you want Eadric to be seen doing, or a situation you want to crop up?
Basically, I just want to go to the ravine, and other than that, I think just play to find out.
Fine, that works for me. Moving along, Greg, what about Hild? What stars?
Yeah, this was awesome. I did like how Edric and Hild kind of had a disagreement, right? I feel like teams that don't get along are always the most interesting. So I thought that was cool. Yeah, I like Senis. How his whole man of God in a pagan world is pretty good, and then I'm really very curious to see how the Fae aspect influences what we're doing. You know, I see that as kind of a third leg. You got the gods, and then you have this supernatural thing. As far as wishes, I don't know. I love this. I don't know too much. I've always loved like just, you know, you go to Britain and there's like you can hike on an old Roman road. Do you know what I mean? Just the sense of history. So I am all for throwing up as much historical elements as people would like to.
Okay,
So.
that's good to know. Thanks for that. Will, what about you and Kenneth? Any stars?
I did love all of the uneasy interactions between us all. I think was really driven by the settlement building and the relationships, especially the whole thing with Hilda and Bardewulf feels like a really nice tangle of mortal problems. And the chicken. I really want the chicken to be more, just like the donkey in the previous sessions. The chicken, I feel, is going to be an important part.
The commoner's animal always ends up as the star of all these series. It's just a thing. Yeah. So apart from the chicken being the star, do you have another wish?
Well, wishes. I think I would like to definitely explore Gildas and his hostility towards Christianity, because I think that Senis is very much a kind of the will of God will see all things through. You know, we don't have to proselytize, we don't have to convert by the sword because it's just God kind of thing. I think definitely, that's going to make, I can't see that coming to blows, but it's going to be interesting how we avoid that, right?
Well, I mean, we're lucky. We've got 5 sessions, so we've got time to let all of that breathe. So, Tyler, any stars from Gildas's point of view?
Absolutely. First off, I really like the way you've set up moves for this and how the game plays out. That's really neat. The settlement build is fascinating. How all of that comes together. It seemed like, well, to be honest, Greg put something in there that has made the mystery. You rolled with that. That's great GMing, but that's also really good game design that we had so much made off of that really quick world build, because world build can be so long. Boom, boom, boom. Lots of story going on, and we all had things to grab onto. That's good game design. But that comes back to Greg, amazing with the stuff you helped build for the settlement. And I always, now that we played together, I see you always have such energy. It is fun to watch you go. Your characters are full of action, and that's fun. And I kind of like this outlaw. I like that she is really kind of offensive in both meanings of the word. I think that's cool. Sawyer, I like this commoner because you went with, in a tense situation, I'm going to diffuse it. I can kind of be that person. I like the practicality you're putting into the character, which is really nice. I want to see what you're going to do with this character. You're such a good role player that I can't wait to see what happens from this character, because I think it's going to be delightful. Will, I am so about this night. I am so about this. And I can't wait. This will bleed into my wish. I'm interested to know why Sinis and Gildas are together. I think that is a really interesting story. We have 2 other pagans along with Gildas, but to have you with us, I'm interested to know how that dynamic goes. Another part of kind of my wish and idea is I think Gildas is of the old gods, the old British gods. And in a way, having these Saxon gods, that's lovely and all. And it's a good bulwark against this Christian incursion. But it's having the Britons realize that their old gods are still here waiting. They were here before Rome, and they are certainly waiting now that that has fallen. And so I wish to see that a little bit of the old world. I know the druids are gone, but there are those of us who remember, sort of thing.
And there are pagan mystics who wander the land, still making sure people don't forget. That's really good. I mean, I'd lean into all those stars, folks. You know, I thought that you built a really interesting settlement, and I think that you are bedding into the setting really neatly. I'm always slightly worried that, you know, in pseudo historical games there's a barrier. I really appreciate you going with the flow of this one. And wishes, yeah, I think we can arrange some of that stuff. Before I forget, I must just do end of session XP. So just have a look at row 25, 26, 27. Let's start with Eadric. Sawyer, did Eadric invoke his reputation as a commoner? I don't think he did he?
If you mean like through the move, no. Yeah, then no.
But did you put yourself at risk by confronting your betters or address a challenge with common sense?
I think I did with common sense by going to the root of the settlement.
Yeah, absolutely. So give yourself an EP, an XP. What about Hild, Greg? Did they invoke their reputation as an outlaw? No. Did you put yourself at risk to cheat or steal? Or did you address a challenge with guile?
Okay. Man, I don't know if she has cunning or intelligence. So that might be a hard one to do. Yeah.
You see, I think you did put yourself at risk to cheat Eadric out of that ring. I mean, I know it wasn't, you know, Eadric, you know, going to steal it.
Yeah.
I think you're due an XP for that. What about you, Kenneth? Did you address a challenge with courage, put yourself at risk to protect the innocent, or invoke your reputation?
I didn't invoke my reputation, but I did, I guess, address a challenge with courage, stepping forward against the spirit. Not sure I protected the innocent in that case, well, as far as I knew at the time.
Always in the eye of the beholder, don't you think? At the time.
Yeah, well, in the eye of God.
Good call. So give yourself an XP.
I did have a question. Do you get XP for missed moves in this?
Yes, you do.
Would I have got one for missing on the start of session move?
Yes, you would.
Yeah, cool.
Any move is, and certainly there were a couple of 6 minuses, though I think we bumped one up. So in this case, I think, Tyler, it is in terms of Gildas, you did invoke your reputation and your Fae Lord.
I did, yes.
So you get an XP for that. Did you put yourself at risk to indulge your burden? We haven't quite roughed out your burden yet.
Established it, yeah.
Give that some thought for next time. And did you address a challenge with deception?
I don't really think I did.
No. I think you played a pretty straight Fae bat so far.
Yeah. Can I ask something real quick, just so I can look at that burden in the future? My burden is something that is invoked on me, or is it in effect all the time?
For you, it's so temptations. People can opt for a temptation, and then there's a way to get rid of the temptation, right? You are stuck with a burden. So you need to pick one that you are happy that you can live with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but and it's in effect all the time. If I say to, okay, gotcha.
It is. The rest of you will have the option to give in to a temptation. It's one way to get rid of the debts you owe your god. Because after a while, gods begin to get impatient about being paid back. But we'll worry about that next time. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording, so wave bye-bye to the internet.